more supernatural beings, you definitely want to be here to watch our next guest.
Yeah, author Thomas Hewlett draws us into a world of fantasy with his 12 Stake series. And there's a part in one of his books set in about 1948, and there was something, Thomas, about the idea that Alcoholics Anonymous was not for alcoholics, but rather for vampires. Want to know about that?
Right. The premise of my book is that AA was started by vampires to protect each other, help each other survive. Like this bloodlust traditionally what vampires have works like alcoholism. It's this uncontrollable urge, and they got together and they started AA, and they used the human alcoholism as a cover for what's really going on.
That's pretty clever, and we're not entirely sure that's not true. I'm just saying. That's great.
I'm definitely not a vampire.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know.
What other kind of characters do you have? You have supernatural beings. What kind of things can they do?
Well, there's 4 main species in the book, and they each have a character represented in the series. There's vampires, who in AA. There's the werewolf characters. They're the drug smugglers, biker gangs in this book. There's the fairies, the fae, who are traditionally the fae are magical creatures. So in my books, they're the ones who actually make this magical drug that's causing all this havoc in the first book. And the last fairies, yeah, they can't be trusted. Right? And the last species are the witches, and no one else knows about their existence, but they're kind of the behind-the-scenes peacekeepers.
Oh, fun. I understand too that from the time you were a little boy, you used to read books that were interesting to you, such as Stephen King and other novels like that, and you would rewrite the endings.
Yeah, I thought like if it didn't end the way I wanted it to, I would just do it better.
There we go.
I thought that was normal. Like, well, yeah, I was given the chance. No, it should have ended this way. And that got me into writing and thinking about stories that way.
But how did you then go from and put these concepts together, like with the different characters in the Alcoholics Anonymous? How did that come up?
This all came out of my own life experiences. You know, I'm very open and blunt about what I've been through. I came through alcohol and drug addiction myself. And about 6 years ago, you know, it finally all came crashing down, and I ended up in rehab. And it was there, you know, going through that and getting clean and sober, and reading the books I always read. It all just kind of melded together, and I got this idea. Just talking to a friend of mine, we're just spitballing ideas, and he said, you know, how do you use his experiences? Half jokingly, he said you should write about vampires in AA. And it just hit, it stuck. It was just this perfect mashup of everything I was doing, everything I was reading, everything I was going through, and I found that first character as kind of a reflection of that.
Absolutely. So it is taking a life experience and then actually turning it into something that's both inspiring and frightening, but also in a way we look at ourselves in each of these characters, right? I mean, you're really part of ourselves in our behavior there.
Well, that's the premise of these books, and that's why I enjoy writing them. It's, you know, for these monsters, their conditions comes on the same way addicts and alcoholics experiences this thing. This is darkness inside of you that's just coming out.
Yeah. Turning into a werewolf.
Right, exactly. But what do you do with that? Like, these characters have to learn to use that power for something good, and they end up like basically saving the world. And I felt that was a very inspirational way of dealing with something very real in my life and other people's lives. You know. There's this human element to these monsters, and they have to use that to connect with each other. And that's what we do as addicts and alcoholics in recovery. You've got to turn that around into something useful, or it's going to kill you.
Right.
And this is the same thing for these characters, and it's why I think they're so relatable to me and to the readers.
Absolutely, because it really talks about the depth of the soul, and really these are metaphors for the experience of people who have drug and alcohol issues, and as they're going through those issues, we all have, you know, wide range.
That's the thing. It's a little bit more than a metaphor, because you ask the normal addict if they feel human, and they're going to say no.
Wow.
They feel like monsters. They feel like something broken. They feel like
bad and why they need to.
Not just what they've done, but like fundamentally cut off and inhuman about, or alien. You hear these words a lot.
Why?
And the next step is to take that and turn it into something. Well, how do I become human again? How do I get back to that humanity?
Transformation.
We want to hear more.
Wow,
Thomas.
I'm going to read your book. It's
How do we get a
fantastic.
hold of you? How do we get this book?
This book's on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. For people in Los Angeles, it's now being carried at the last bookstore downtown.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, he's a pioneer in diversity and inclusion in the funding and tech space.
That's right. Marlon Nichols joins us from the LA-based